Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, as you can probably already tell, this is going to be a bit of a different video. So, today we have the American Tactical GSG-16. Now, there's a lot of things that need to be said about this firearm that could be common knowledge, could not be very common knowledge, but for the most part, I'm just going to do my review on this firearm that I picked up from the gun store. So, like I said, this is a American Tactical GSG-16. It shoots 22 LR. It comes with a 22 round magazine. Comes with a, it's got all the basics, right? So to dig into this, I want to do it, typical fashion, from top to bottom. So from top to bottom, we have, these are all add-ons, obviously, these three things right here. So I'll just review everything that's on this firearm like I did with the MP15. This right here is a Bushnell reflex sight that I picked up. It wasn't very expensive. It was around like 80 bucks. It does the job perfectly, but there's a problem with it in terms of what it's mounted on, and that's with this firearm. So the sights that come with this, the irons, the rail that comes with it, for example, it's plastic or polymer. So the problem with that is it moves. You can kind of see it. And so does the sight, right? That's tight on there. It's not going anywhere, that sight is, but the plastic moves. And the problem with that, in this particular sense, is that if you bump this around, you're putting it in your gun bag, you're taking it to the range or whatever, you almost always lose zero as soon as you put it away. That's been my experience with this firearm for the past 8 months. I've had this thing, and it's just, any optic mounted onto this rail is completely useless unless you zero it every time you take it to the range. And that's something you don't want to ever do. The iron sights that come with it are accurate. They do the job nicely, but then again, they're also on their own different mounting systems. As you can see, they're cut from here and here. So they're on their own different, mount, right? This rail is just secured like an airsoft gun. It's just, this polymer is screwed in, right? And the problem with that, like I just said, is that it loses zero. It should not do that. That is a very big problem. So, continuing down, we have the charging handle. Now, this thing is obviously supposed to be a mock of the HK MP5K, or, MP5 variant or whatever. It looks like an MP5K. It acts, for the most part, when it works, like an MP5K. The charging handle. It's your normal, when you need to put a mag in, you grab it, you pull it back, you lock it up, you put the mag in, and then you slap it down, the HK slap, right? If you look carefully, though, it's missing it. It's not on the other side either. Now, normally you can unscrew it if you're, ambidextrous, or if you're left-handed, and it's also ambidextrous safety for ambidextrous, right? Well, at the range, before I can get any good footage, as I slapped it forward, the steel broke off, like it rocket manned off the front of the firearm. And so this weapon, it will shoot as long as I stick something in this hole right here and rack it back. But this is bad. I can't even begin to explain to you how bad this is. So, yeah, that's not going to work. That is a very big problem. That is a manufacturer problem. Now, I could be, in a situation where I just got a bad batch, right? But so far, this weapon has performed terribly. So that's my 2 cents on that. Continuing down, we got the stock. I'm 19 years old at this point in time, so I cannot confirm this is considered a stock. I'm sure some people might call this a pistol or an arm brace, I meant. But you see, I picked this up at the age of 19 legally, so I guess it's legal. As you can see here, it's also polymer. If you bend this the wrong way, it will break. So this is a poor construction. Even the rails are polymer. When you collapse it, it runs along the side of the receiver of the firearm, right here and here. All you gotta do is simply push it down and then collapse it, right? Now, that's just the overarching theme of this entire firearm, is polymer. It's supposed to be lightweight, and there's nothing wrong with polymer firearms. The problem is if it's so cheaply made and the stuff that's supposed to be steel isn't steel, then you get integrity issues. And like I said, this is mostly polymer. And the only thing that's not polymer is the internals, the mag release, then the fake suppressor that's actually just an extended barrel, and then, like I said, the internals. So in theory, it's a good idea, but in this particular, circumstance, the execution was terrible, and just too much plastic for my liking. So, continuing down from the stock, we move down to the rails. So there's 3 rails besides the top rail, and I already described and told you that you should not use the top rail for anything that's related to accuracy, laser sights or anything like that. But like I said, if you're trying to put like a PEC 15 for whatever reason on your 22 LR, semi-auto GSG-16, don't even bother. But this stuff on here is just too much for this crappy gun. So like I said, this all moves. It's all this polymer. It all moves. So on my rails right now, I have the Crimson Trace tack light. Now this light is actually meant for pistols. I just threw it on here for the memes. But it's a decent light. It does the job. Whenever it's not, whenever my gun's not in the holster, I have this on there. It's bright. If you hold both buttons down, you can go dim and then strobe and then bright again, and then you just tap it and it turns off. So the stuff on here is good. It's very good. I would not recommend you get this, but no, this works perfectly on my AR-15. So, but SIG makes better optics than Bushnell. So, Crimson Trace. On the lower rail, I have a Magpul RBG broom handle foregrip. Now, if we continue down, we got the barrel. Now, when I first saw this, I thought, that's gotta be a suppressor. It looks pretty convincing at first glance. And, well, like I said earlier, this is actually just an extended barrel housed in a piece of steel that looks like a suppressor. And we look at it, it's a barrel. So, it's a cool idea, and that's another main theme of this firearm, is it's supposed to look cool. But it looks cool, but it does not perform like it's cool, if you catch my drift. Continuing down, we have the mag and the mag catch assembly. If I can't stumble. It does its job. I can't say it does a perfect job. It does a terrible job. There's definitely firearms that I own that do better. It goes in when it wants to go in, but it moves. That could be a culprit of the feeding issue I have with this. It holds 22 rounds in this magazine. So it does the job. But like I said earlier, though, it has a lot of feeding issues, and I can't tell you how many times I've had jams with it. I use Federal ammunition. It's not exactly cheap ammo, but there's no reason why this thing should jam every other round, and it does. So moving down again, we have the safety. Now this safety is horrendous. It does not do a good job at all. So right here, right? So if I get in a good position and I try to manipulate the safety from, a normal hold of the firearm, right? My thumb has to leave the pistol grip to initiate it to fire. And then I have to go back and leave it again to go to safe. That is a problem, for obvious reasons, but it's uncomfortable. It's at a bad spot. It's a bit over the top, in my opinion. I end up just using my pointer finger to flip it from fire to save, because it's just way easier. But for the most part, I can get over that. It's a 22. I'm not expecting much from it. I paid about $250 for this thing, which makes sense, right? I mean, it's a $250 22, right? But then again, I picked up a Henry lever action 22 for about the same price. And that thing, obviously, lever actions are pretty good at not jamming, especially for Henry. You can pick up a Ruger 1022 for about the same price, and it barely jams, unless, in my personal experience with Ruger 1022s, the one I was firing did not jam. I've heard some stuff that it jams all the time, but in this one in particular, this one jams all the time. And most of my range time with this thing has just mostly been consisting of clearing malfunctions, clearing jams, and stuff like that. And so it's just a tedious process to get this thing to work when it wants to work before it stopped working. So, I mean, on top of that, showing empty, nothing in the mag. Let's see if I can get this thing open from here. Yep. So I'm gonna pry this open. Take my trusty knife. Clear, nothing in the chamber. Now, like a lot of semi-auto handguns you have nowadays, this firearm will not shoot unless the magazine is inside the firearm. So, right. Now, what I'm trying to show you here is the the terrible trigger on this firearm. So you go here, there's a lot of mush right there. This is the wall. Now listen to this terrible trigger. That sounded horrendous. The reset, I'm not gonna be able to reset it without, you know, forcing this back somehow. So it's just, I mean, even when it's, you know, already fired, it just sounds like garbage. If I were you and I saw this firearm in a gun shop and you thought, man, that looks cool, just think back on this video and just understand that this is not a good firearm. I would never buy one of these again. Personally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this thing repaired. I'm going to sell it as cheap as I can to some friend that might want one, doesn't have a firearm. I'm just going to get it out of my life because this is by far the worst example of a 22 I could ever think of. That's honestly about it. I mean, when it does shoot, when it does function properly, you know, the thing's fun. You know, you get to simulate shooting a HK firearm, and that's about it. Even when these sights were zeroed, this thing shot poorly. It was inconsistent. It would just go all over the place. I would get like, get this, at 15 feet, I would get 1 foot groupings with this thing. Okay, it's just terrible. This is not the firearm you should buy. And this is probably the first negative review, like overarching negative review I've made of a firearm. And I would never suggest ever buying this. I only have one video of me shooting it, and that was the one I showed in the previous video. So don't get this. This is not the answer. Go buy a lever action 22 at the same price as $250. Go buy a handgun that's 22. Anything but this American Tactical GSG-16. So I hope this was informative. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I can't say I had fun making this video. This is actually kind of a sad video. I thought I was going to have a good deal on this firearm, but I was, you know, poorly mistaken. So I hope this helped out. If you guys own one of these firearms, I want to, you know, hear your comments and reviews on this firearm personally in the comment section down below. If you enjoy this informative video, I can't say if it's informative, you know, because that's, you know, subjective. But if you have any, you know, thing to say, like I said, go to the comments. If you like this video, I would appreciate a like and subscribe. My channel is blowing up. Really appreciate you guys' support. You know, it brings me, whenever I look at my YouTube Studios account and I look at the subscriber count go up, it's just awesome. And it brings a smile to my face when I have a crappy day. So that's all I got for you guys today. Y'all take it easy.